I'm gonna put my water on the baby seat. There's absolutely zero irony in the daddy issue situation while I stand next to the high chair. Okay? And that's actually water. I'm actually not drunk, so I'm sorry if you guys were here for that, because that's actually generally part of the show. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Whoa. All right, so we are talking about daddy issues, okay? And dad shit is epic shit, all right? Now, it's probably not as epic as your mom's shit, but it's probably pretty close. See, my father was born in 1937 in Brooklyn to a micromanaging mom and a mostly absent father. So you can see from the rest of my story that my dad issues are closely related to his mommy issues. Okay, so it's sort of the same thing there. You see where I'm going? All right, so my grandmother was a piano teacher. And as my father tells it, she would have been a world-renowned concert pianist had she not been cursed with tiny hands that couldn't reach an octave. And so as a result of that, she tortured my father and made him play the piano every single day of his life. Because if she can be a concert pianist, then maybe he could. And probably somewhere right about the time, you see, it started at the ripe old age of, I think this is 8 months, ladies and gentlemen, 8 months. Sometime around whenever he'd memorized just about as much Yiddish as one can stand for his bar mitzvah at the age of 13, he told his mother to go fuck himself. He wasn't playing the piano anymore either. No more synagogue, no more piano. I'm done. And about the time that my grandmother passed away when I was 7, I inherited a piano, not the baby grand you see there, just a like sad, janky version. And my dad got that piano for me, and he also got me piano lessons, and he made me play the piano, practice every single day. And he would turn on the metronome, and if you know what that is, it ticks like a clock. And if any of you get quiet enough and I can hear your clock in here, I'm gonna kick you out, okay? If I can hear your watch ticking, that's the kind of shit that makes me bonkers. Because around the ripe old age of 11, I told my dad to stick it, and I didn't play the piano anymore. And it's a shame, because maybe I could have been the concert pianist, even though I'm like cursed with the kind of tiny hand thing also. But it's also probably the one regret that I have in my life is that I didn't at least give it a try. But we're gonna let it go. Dad sold the piano out from under me. I couldn't do it anyway. All right. So anyway, Dad, after he gave up the piano, he decided he was going to try to lead a life of crime. So he started trying to sell pot in the late 50s in Brooklyn, okay? So he's like drying out a bunch of weed in his mom's oven, right? And like totally getting busted. Like she didn't know what it was, but she knew something was up. And he realized maybe this life of crime didn't suit him. So he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll go to textile school. His father was a milliner, which is someone who makes hats. So the textile school seemed like the right kind of fit. But not too long after he got there, he realized, well, textile school's full of homosexuals. And not that my dad cared, but that is not his bag either, okay? That didn't suit him. My father's a ladies' man, all right? He started out a ladies' man. He has always been a ladies' man. He is 79 years old, and he is the most charming motherfucker you will ever meet, okay? Is there anybody close to that age, single in the audience? You can come see me later, okay? So after this whole textile thing, the bottom dropped out, he decided he was gonna go and become a traveling furniture salesman. So he goes up and down the East Coast doing this, and he kind of scores a little bit because he kind of gets kept by a couple of different women who make a little extra money, one of them for sleeping with her boss. So, you know, my dad hitched his star to that wagon. I'm not saying my dad was like a gigolo or anything, but he did okay for himself, okay? I mean, he was good looking, you know, and charming, like I said before. And by the time this stint is over, he's in New Orleans, and he's got a lady there who's making a lot of money, and I think they drank too many mint juleps, played tennis, and like lightweight cotton V-necks or something, you know? And when she got sick of him, or maybe it's about the time I think he went bald, she got rid of him. And he was like, well, this furniture thing's been working out, I'm gonna move to Dallas where the Furniture Mart is. He was gonna make his name in plaster of Paris. Okay? Now keep in mind, it's the late 60s, right? So plaster of Paris shit is hot, all right? I mean, they're making those columns, those Roman columns. They're making like, you know, busts of David. Dad was making tables that had like shiny marble shit like stuck in it. Everybody was buying it. Or like the little Jesus that's inside out and it looks like it's looking at you everywhere you go in the room. And now while my dad was Jewish, He was not stupid about this whole I can sell all sorts of dumb shit to Christians down in Texas, okay? And he was just working that angle. And he lived in this little apartment right outside of DFW, and his next door neighbor was his best friend who worked in an insurance agency. And the office manager at this insurance agency was a hot little ticket that everybody called Cuddles. And now my dad had been in there a few times, and he was like, that's it, that's right, that's what I want right there. So he like figured out she was still single, and he goes in and he makes a plan. He's like, hey, Cuddles, I've got tickets to see the band tonight, and I also know where the after party is. Would you care to join me? And well, Cuddles was kind of a sucker for bald men, and she said yes. And before you know it, they go to the show, they go to the after party. Dad's apartment's right there. He is hooking that shit up, okay? Kept her forever, kind of. And so, before you know it, they're realizing, oh, we really like each other. What are we gonna do with all this time where we smoke a lot of pot? And so they started making candles. Now my dad, of course, the plaster of Paris thing, that's all like molds, right? So he's got the mold thing and you can make candles and molds, right? Okay. So you think about it, it's like, it's Dallas, it's hot. There's wax, there's lots of scents, there's lots of patchouli, everybody's getting kind of aroused, they're all stoned, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, You can envision it, right? It's sort of like, you've all seen Ghost, where Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze are having that moment with the music and the clay, and they're all getting like busy with it. Like, just imagine that, but like with candles and more facial hair, all right? It was just like that. And they realized this stuff was gonna sell like hotcakes. Now they're gonna make their name in candles. That's what Dad was gonna do now, okay? So they also thought we'll move back to the land, away from the man, off the grid. And so they found a little plot up in north central Arkansas, and they made a little sunshine. Yeah, which is the bonus, because now you guys get to hear the rest of this damn story. So, one of the things you have to realize is, like, if you're listening to this story, my father was raised by this woman who was rules, and my dad is doing everything he fucking can to, like, not live by the rules, right? But he could not escape the teeny tiny micromanager living full size inside of him, tiny hands and all right? And it's always been like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Do you need help with that? What are you doing in that drawer? Can I just get out? I got this. And as much as I'd like to think that I'm my own person, I'm actually exactly like that. Like, just so you know, like, Lee did a really great job and all, but there's lots of things that I could have done better, all right? And if any of you, if you've got something going on, if you need any help or any advice with it, I'm sure that I can do it much more efficiently than you can. And also, the soap in the kitchen, it goes on the left, and the soap in the bathroom goes on the right. Don't ask me questions about it. It's just the way it is. If you move it, I'll move it back. I won't hit you, but I'll think about hitting you. So my dad and I, both being good Jews, we set out on this plan to go to San Francisco to see some family, and I, of course, hunt around, and I'm going to find us the best damn price I can possibly find on a flight. So the best price is out of Tulsa. So I'm like, Dad, we're going out of Tulsa. Yeah. And I just want you guys to know, if you ever decide to do that and you think, oh, I'm totally going to save some money, well, you're going to pay with your soul in triplicate on the way back, okay? Because that saving money shit is bullshit right now. So that whole trip was completely unsuccessful. It was family, and you know what happens when you go to visit family. It's generally a pain in the ass. So much so that when we're on our flight back, my dad and I are seated behind this small family with a toddler, and the toddler will not shut up or stop screaming or staring at us. And my father decides to instruct the family on how they should raise this child better, and they should also tell it to shut the fuck up. That was not embarrassing, just in case you guys thought that I was like relieved he did that. So by the time we finally get to the airport, we're running behind. It's like 11 o'clock at night. We finally get to the car, and by God, we're determined to get back to Fayetteville. Also, it's the Thursday of Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue here in Northwest Arkansas, okay? So we get in the car, and we're on our way out, getting out of the airport, and I'm not sure if any of you have ever experienced this, but there's actually a glitch in the Matrix right outside of the airport in Tulsa. And now, I've heard that some people make it, and they're accidentally like, whoops, we're on our way to Joplin. And I'm like, oh yeah, right? They have. You may not know until you're there, but by God, there are street lights and there are signs and stuff that way. I somehow make it going the other direction where there are hardly any paved roads, there are no street signs, there are no street lights, and there isn't any cell service either. And I'll tell you, my father had quit smoking because he is a cancer survivor, and I had my car completely 100% detailed before this trip because I didn't want him to know I was still an ashtray, right? So there's nothing in the car other than the two of us and our luggage. And my phone dies. There's no phone charger anyway. Not that it matters because I don't have any phone service. There's no cell service, no GPS, no nothing, in the middle of nowhere. So I devised this plan while my father's screaming at me about how stupid I am, although I think that he was the one who told me that it went that way. Not sure. But we'll blame him anyway, he's not here. So I decide we're gonna go left. Just keep going left, keep going left. We're gonna end up somewhere, there's gonna be a sign, right? So we do this, an hour and a half later, we end up back on the tollway. Phew, right? And he's like non-stop screaming at me until I finally turn around and look at him and I'm like, listen, you've alienated every other person in your entire life and I am driving your sorry ass back. You need to shut up before you alienate me too. I'll tell you what, shut him up. It was silent all the way to that toll booth. And then we get to the toll booth and I realize there's no change in the car. No change in the car. I look at Dad, I'm like, do you have any change in your pocket? He like hands me the two quarters he's got. It's like $2.50 to get through it. It's 2:30 in the morning. There are no attendees there because they're all like making sure no bikers are like murdering each other in Northwest Arkansas. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And he's like, just fucking drive through. And I'm like, you can't just do that. Just fucking drive through. What do you think they're gonna do? They think they're gonna arrest you? I'm like, I don't know. We're the Cherokee Nation. Like the whole fucking point of being on this road is that you pay the toll. You pay the toll. That's the rule, Dad. I don't break rules, okay? He's like, that's just driving me ridiculous. What do you think they're gonna do? And I'm just like freaking out. I'm like throwing things that might clang out of my purse into this thing, right? And all of a sudden I realize my dad has opened the door. He's about to get out of the car at the tollway. I mean, is he gonna like, I don't know, maybe he's gonna join the Cherokee Nation? I'm not really sure. He's gonna wait there until the cops come back tomorrow and like blame me, have me arrested actually, because I'm gonna drive through without paying the toll anyway. But like I realize he's gonna get out and I'm just like, fuck it. And I just start to drive, the door shuts, ooh, he's pissed, right? And maybe he was excited about living there, I don't know. So we get like the whole rest of the way, we're driving, he's over there seething and I'm just crying because I'm like, my daddy, I don't even know what to do and I'm gonna get arrested when I get back. And just, So we finally make it back to my house. And before I can even put the car in park, my dad is out of the car, he's gotten his suitcase and he's headed his car parked in my driveway. And I'm like, oh my God, I get out of the car, I'm like, Melvin, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm not fucking staying here with you. I'm getting a hotel. I'm like, good luck with that, buddy. There's not a hotel in a 150-mile radius of here. It's Bikes Blues, okay? Just calm down. It's all right. Just come inside. Fuck that. Fuck you. I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I mean, he hasn't made no eye contact. He's getting in the car, right? He puts it in reverse. Somehow, on my paved road, he is spitting gravel back at me in a tiny little BMW, and he is speeding out. And I'm like, thank God I get to smoke that cigarette now. And I sit on the porch and I'm having this smoke and it occurs to me that my father is so enraged and there are extra police in town and he's going to wrap that tiny BMW around maybe a telephone pole. Maybe he's gonna get pulled over and they're gonna like say something to him, he's gonna get pissed, they're gonna put him, he's gonna be face down on the hood of his car and they'll be like, this is her address, get her name's Sunshine Broder and blah, blah, blah. Like, right? Like, I mean, like, I'm gonna be in the papers tomorrow because my dad. I'm just like, okay, I gotta take this trip and I like follow the little route out of town that he would have taken just to make sure. And when I get to the edge of town and I haven't seen him, I'm like, you know what, that's great, fuck this, the fucking country can have you. And I go home and 3 months later, we still haven't spoken to each other. So I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to like offer out the olive branch, even though my therapist told me that I didn't have to do that I could just write him off for the rest of my natural-born life, no more dad. And I considered it, you know, but I mean, I am daddy's girl, I'm an only child, and you know, he'd alienated everyone else, and I mean, somebody's gotta be around to get the inheritance, right? So it's like, okay, so I buy him the prehistory of the Far Side, it's a book, he loves that shit, and I write an inscription in the front, it's like, roses are red, violets are blue, you were a dick and so were you. Love you very much, Squinchy Butt. Yeah, that's my nickname. I'll tell you that story later, it's too long. So I send that to him, and about 3 days later, it's Valentine's Day, and I get my flowers in the mail because he always sends me flowers on Valentine's Day. And I get my flowers, my 1-800, all right? And I get the little note that comes along with it, and it says something about how my shit actually doesn't smell like roses. And I was like, it's cool, because, like, I've got a sense of humor, he's got a sense of humor, everything's gonna be cool, right? Okay. And then 3 more days pass, and I get the book back in the mail. And it's got a little note over my inscription that tells me how disrespectful I am, and that he did not raise his daughter to talk to him that way, and that I should be ashamed of myself. And, I consider it. I consider crying about it. And I'm like, fuck that. This is a man who has lived an entire life trying to basically be disrespectful and live his own life. And here he is telling me I'm disrespectful. I'm like, you know what? This won't do. So the next time I went to visit my mom, I called him and I was like, hey, I'm going to come over and visit you. Is that all right? He was like, well, I was going to leave for town, but I'll stay. All right. So I head up there and I go in. He's in the candle shop and we, small talk for a little while. And then finally he looks at me. He's like, do you understand why I'm mad at you? I need you to understand why I'm mad at you. And I'm like, oh, that's why I'm here. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm ready to take it. He was like, you hurt my feelings. And this at this point is like a 75-year-old man, okay? And the whole reason that he's got himself so butthurt and is not going to talk to the only person who gives a shit about him is because his feelings hurt. Your baby feelings hurt. I'm like, he has absolutely no concept of the fact that he's been doing that to me my entire life. And I didn't realize in that moment that I have to be the adult and just kind of take it, right? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Sorry I used Daddy.
Good.
Okay. She has a thing with Daddy, by the way. Just, adults saying Daddy. All right? I say it. I'm sorry. All right? So he accepts my apology, and I'll tell you what, everything's been pretty fine ever since. That was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And over the past 2 months, even currently to this day, I am working on moving my father into a small house right behind my small house right here in Fayetteville. I'm a really good daughter. Yeah. And I'm taking really good notes. So in about a year from now, I'll fill you guys in on what a fucking disaster that is.